Dronacharya had been the preceptor of most kings involved in the Kurukshetra war on both sides. Drona got the entire armory of Parasurama. Parasurama imparted knowledge of celestial weapons to Drona along with the mantra of invocation and withdrawal of weapons. He had a huge range of weapons like Bhargava, Brahmastra, Brahmasira, Vaishnava, etc. Drona held the invincible sword of Lord Brahma. Bhishma once told the story of the sword to Pandava prince Nakula. This sword was the primordial weapon created by the gods for the destruction of evil, the personification of the primary energy behind all the weapons ever created. As per Bhishma, the constellation under which the sword was born is called as Kritika. Agni is its deity, Rohini is its gotra, Rudra is its high preceptor, and whoever holds this weapon obtains victory for sure. Duryodhana exiling the Pandavas as well as the Kauravas' general abuse towards the Pandavas, but became a servant of Hastinapura. Dronacharya was duty bound to fight for the Kauravas, and thus again his favorite Pandavas. Again, the fall of Bhishma on the 10th day, he became the chief commander of the Kuru army on the 11th day of the war. Duryodhana manages to convince Drona to try and end the war by capturing Yudhishthira. Though he killed hundreds and thousands of Pandava soldiers, Drona failed to capture Yudhishthira on day 11 and 12 of the war, as Arjuna was always there to repel his advances. On the 13th day of the battle, Dronacharya formed the Chakravyuh strategy to capture Yudhishthira, knowing that only Arjuna and Krishna would know how to penetrate it. The Trigartas was distracting Arjuna and Krishna into another part of the battlefield, allowing the main Kuru army to surge through the Pandava ranks. Unknown to many, Arjuna's young son Abhimanyu had the knowledge to penetrate the formation but did not know the way out. At the request of Yudhishthira, Abhimanyu agreed to lead the way for the Pandava army and was able to penetrate the formation. However, he was trapped when Jayadratha, the king of Sindhu, held the Pandava warrior who were following him. Abhimanyu did not know how to get out of the Chakravyuh, but embarked upon an all-out attack on the Kuru army, killing tens and thousands of warriors single-handedly. Drona was impressed with Abhimanyu and praised him endlessly, earning the anger of Duryodhana. With his army facing decimation and spurred on by Duryodhana's criticism, Drona asked the Kaurava warriors to simultaneously attack Abhimanyu and strike down his horses and his charioteers and to disable his chariot from different angles. Left without support, Abhimanyu began fighting from the ground. Exhausted after a long time, the prodigious feats, Abhimanyu was eventually killed. The devious murder of his son enraged Arjuna, who swore to kill Jayadratha the next day or immolate himself. Drona then constructed a combined vyuhas to protect Jayadratha. The first was the Shakarta vyuha, then was Padma vyuha, and the last was Shrigantaka vyuha. And at its rare end was Jayadratha, who stood at the head of the box formation or Shakata Yuha. In the early part of the day, Arjuna, who he had been duel with, was unable to bypass his preceptor. With Krishna's prodding, Arjuna circumvents Drona. When Duryodhana rages at Drona, Drona replies that he intends to capture Yudhishthira while Arjuna is away and would only hasten their victory. Drona attempts to capture Yudhishthira but is stopped by Drishtadyumna. Drona severely wounds his friend's son, disarming him and forcing him to retreat. When he attempts to chase after Drishtadyumna, he is checked by Satyaki, who insults his teacher's teaching and issues a challenge. Their combat is described as fierce, and despite being able to hold off Drona for several hours, Satyaki eventually tires and has to be rescued by the Upapandavas. On the 14th night of the Mahabharata war, Drona was instigated by Duryodhana's remarks of being a traitor as he was not able to protect Jayadratha. Sensing his end is near, he used the Brahmastra against the common Pandava soldiers. At that moment, all the Saptarishis appeared in the sky and requested Drona to retract this ultimate weapon used on ordinary soldiers. Dronacharya obeyed, retracting the weapon. The rishis continue and betray Drona for violating the rules of war, criticizing him for using divine powers so indiscriminately. Drona reiterates that he is sworn to do all he could to protect Hastinapura, and that, moreover, he wanted to do so for that Dhritarashtra has given him. On that day, Drona killed many Pandava soldiers, including Virat in arrow play and Drupada in a sword fight. Lamenting and deterioration of their friendship, Drona pays his respect to Drupada's corpse. Knowing it would be impossible to defeat an armed Drona, Krishna suggests the Pandavas to plan to disarm their teacher. His idea was that Bhima first kill an elephant named Ashwadhama and then claim to Dronacharya that he has killed Dronacharya's son Ashwadhama in the same name. After killing the elephant, Bhima loudly proclaimed that he had killed Ashwadhama. Disbelieving him, Drona approached Yudhishthira, knowing of Yudhishthira's firm adherence to dharma and honesty. When Drona asked for the truth, Yudhishthira responded with criticism and said, Ashwadhama is dead, but the elephant and not your son. Krishna also knew that it would be impossible for Yudhishthira to lie outright. So under his instructions, the other warriors blew trumpets and conches, raising a tumultuous noise in such a way that Dronacharya only heard that Ashwadhama was dead and could not hear the later part of Yudhishthira's reply. Then Drona descended from his chariot, laid down his arms and sat in meditation, unable to accept the death and loss of his only son. The Pandavas wanted to use this opportunity to arrest him, but enraged by the death of his father and several Panchala warriors, Drishtadyumna took this opportunity and beheads him. In a gross violation of the rules of the law and of war, Krishna justified the act, saying Drona's role in killing of Abhimanyu. Drona was somewhere parallel to Bhishma, both in material powers and compelled by the refuge they had given him. However, he remains a revered figure in Hindu history, a pillar of Indian tradition of respecting one's teacher as an equal, not only as a parent, but even of God. Drona believed that as the commander-in-chief of the Kaurava army, his goal was to ensure the protection of his soldiers through any means necessary.